This week in action.
It's not fake and it was a genuine message.
Could be something.
Talk to the developers.
Are you playing with my emotions?
Let's get sad and then
Too good to be true.
That's not what they did here. When's the money going?
what other horror stories can come with this?
We love Tencent.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Action Podcast 44. My name is Aaron, owner and operator of the YouTube channel Action RPG. And as always, thank you for being here. We've got another stellar show planned for you. With me, as always, is two of my leaders, my friends, the people that truly run this channel, Daft and Guilty. Say hello, gentlemen.
How you guys doing tonight?
Hey, yo!
Ooh, what was that? That was a little
excitement there.
That was a little extra you had on there tonight. You feeling good or what?
Extra.
He feels extra. And as always, Guilty, thank you for making our weekly intro videos for this podcast. I feel like they are always entertaining. And to my right, or I don't know, whatever way it is, thank you to the Patreons. We always got the scroll on there, and we've added a lot over the last week into the VIP chat. So for the show, things we're going to talk about today, we're going to be talking about, not in any order, the Game Awards. We're going to be talking about Superfuse. We're going to be talking about Inquisitor. And of course, we will likely sprinkle in some Last Epoch as well. So for today, we got Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr Season 6 Escalation. I don't know if there's a longer game name out there. We also got...
That was quite the mouthful.
I can't believe I said it without messing up. We also got
You did.
a new, longer, playable multiplayer demo for Superfuse. And I would like to start there with Superfuse. Now all three of us have been able to play it for a little bit. I'm going to hold back my thoughts and let Guilty go first because he's got that extra energy tonight. Thoughts, sir?
Superfuse, the comic strip aesthetic is fantastic. And it's not just in the cell shading and the art of the models. They broke it down into the UI as well.
Mm-hmm.
It literally looks like a comic strip. So it's very good. The voice acting, hit or miss. It's still early. Yep. Some of it's really like, wow, that's good. And some of it's like, that's placeholder. The skill system, I like the ability to try and fit things in that are different shapes onto a limited space.
That took me a long time to figure out. And I was like,
Q&E, man.
I was like, oh, stupid. Every
Rotates.
node, every link or a fuse has a different shape. So you got to fit it into the puzzle.
Right, but they rotate.
Yeah.
With Q&E.
Yeah.
So that I appreciate that. So you've got like Tetris mode in there with that.
Inventory Tetris and skill Tetris
combined.
Whoa.
Right.
That's gonna be a good thumbnail.
Yeah, there it is. The best part so far for me is taking something like Sledgehammer and mixing it with ice and mixing it with fork and mixing it with God knows what. And I think Ricochet was one.
Yep.
There's a lot to be done when this game fully releases and we have all of the goodies. Just imagine the plethora. How much is a plethora, you might ask?
A lot. Daphne, did you get that same feeling?
I have not played the current iteration. I only played the initial demo where you started off at level 10.
Yep.
I enjoyed what I had. It's an interesting game. It kind of threw me, though. I won't lie. It threw me off, just kind of throwing you into that part of the game, the stage. So I only played a few days, but I did enjoy it. It seemed interesting. The graphics are cool, like you're saying. They had that comic vibe, pretty strong. High action. So I have less to pick from as far as like actual knowledge in the game, but I did enjoy it. Though Rich says it might look a little meh. I don't know. We'll see. I guess he was watching you play.
Well, I will say, and this is important to know, it feels a little meh right now. Like imagine Last Epoch when it left Kickstarter, right? Imagine these older games in their first iterations. PoE. Superfuse is a smaller studio, of course. And the game isn't even in early access. They would consider it still in an alpha phase. So
it's a tech demo.
A lot of different, exactly. So a lot of still in development. My biggest concern right now is obviously, you know, and I've already sent this up to them. They're already talking about it. They already watched my stream. They already talked to Vulcan, who literally has said that the game's melting his 4080. Lone Star tried to play it and it's melting his computer. So
wow,
you know,
needs
if you're peaking a 4090 at 100% on the 3D cache, like, you know,
it's not doing that to my 6800 XT at max. Just saying, that seems like it's a Intel issue.
So I'm just gonna put this out there, Guilty, is that I can't describe why it does this, okay? But just hear me for a second. Maybe you could figure this out. I could put everything to 100% max settings, including resolution, native 4K, and everything works perfect. The second I boot Streamlabs or OBS, it
Are you using them
literally
fancy encoders for streaming.
It literally like
You
like
know what
the whole
encoders I
room.
don't
Like-
have? The ones you're using.
And that's what it is. I don't know what it is about the encoder or how it works, but when you are streaming, creating content, or trying to rip anything, the game goes ballistic. Like I can't explain it. Playing perfectly fine all morning. I go to stream and it's like a robot. So I know no other games are like that I play.
Would that be Guilty? Because it seems like it needs mad optimization at this point. So
Well,
is that?
yeah, I mean, it's still a tech demo.
That's
that could
yeah,
come.
being-
I would say it's not a memory leak because someone said it was built in Unity. So I'm gonna.
It's
this
not.
is based on. It's not. Or
No, it's built in Unreal
not.
Engine. So
so it could be a memory leak because that's an
Dire
unmanaged
Prism said it was
language.
built in Unity. Then he messaged me and said, "Sorry, I said that on." He actually messaged me and said, "Sorry, I told you it was built in Unity. It's actually built in Unreal Engine."
Okay, so that's that's an unmanaged language. It could be a memory leak. Not saying it is, but the C++ allows for that. Not so much with C#.
Man, isn't
Green and
it
black.
so weird? Like, I mean, it really is weird. I could play the game perfectly fine, but if I try and play the game while Streamlabs is open, it like doesn't work. That is weird. Doesn't that sound weird? I don't
Sounds
know.
like a techie.
It sounds like I think it's your drivers.
It's not.
No, I think it's not optimized to work with them.
I mean, I guess it could be. Everyone I talk to that's using an NVIDIA card says that there's a problem. And again, I had the exact same problem recording on the 3070 Ti when I played the original demo. So it's not like it's not like it's only because you could say like, oh, you and Vulcan are both on 40 series cards. Maybe there's something with that newer card that doesn't want to work. But I had the same problem with the 3070 Ti. So I don't know. And that's why I'm trying not to focus my criticism on optimization, right? Like the game functions fine when I'm not trying to rip, you know, raw 4K from it.
Sure.
So I'm trying to focus on the skill system, the passives, the visuals, the art style. Like that's
great.
That
is
it
it
all good.
Is this released on Steam or is this a
Steam?
Okay, I'll check it out and see what it does on my computer.
So if you go to Steam, put in Superfuse, there's a little button that says request access, and you click that, wait a little bit, and they'll activate
Not
it.
much different than Torchlight did recently.
Exactly.
It's a real short like access though. 3 days?
Oh, is it
I
one
thought
of
it was
those limited
5 days.
Yeah.
It might be 5 days.
It might be 5 days.
I might forget then and not do it.
And just a little announcement, like we haven't figured out all the details yet, but on my Friday stream, Vulcan from Vulcan Gaming might be joining me to play through the demo for Superfuse. So that might be fun to like show off some multiplayer and be able to collaborate with another content creator. So that's cool. Okay. You know, I mean, obviously we've only been talking for a little bit, but I think that's really all I have on Superfuse. I feel like the art style is good. Most people kind of like that Borderlands style. When it functions correctly, skill system's good, passive system feels good. As far as, again, I keep saying this over again, the 2D art of the item, matching the equip item on your inventory and matching in-game is
nice.
like almost as good as I've seen. Like, they match really, really well. And they've taken basically the flask system from PoE and they use it as a booster system. And when you use a booster, it literally like you're injecting yourself. So like you click a button and you literally, it's a pretty neat little thing. So
I'm requesting access. I'll see if it comes through within the time frame of our podcast.
Oh, you're requesting
Geek
access?
says he thinks it's a 4000 series issue.
Yeah. Hey, Geek, download
Thank you.
OBS and try and rip 4K raw at max settings. Look at my wife just brought me.
What's that?
I don't know. What that?
Oh, fancy. One of
Is that
them
a
drinks.
mimosa?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Looks
Ask
like
her.
mimosa.
It looks mimosa-y.
Let me try it.
Yeah.
Gotta put my pinky up. Christina says, yes, it is a mimosa. Yummy.
You know it's not breakfast time, right? It's
Yeah.
not breakfast time in the Florida Keys.
Right? Exactly. Okay, Superfuse done. Let's switch over. Ready? Warhammer 40K Inquisitor Martyr Season 6
Yeah.
Escalation. Who's playing it? Raise your hand. Daphne, you're not playing it yet?
Nope.
You haven't started a tune
I
yet?
haven't. No. This week I've been all over the place. Haven't done
Well,
much.
you know, in his defense, he has been pulling extra duties for Aaron, so Aaron hits him.
He only did
little
that
bit.
this morning. That's not a valid excuse.
Only.
He only did that this morning. Actually, I guess that's true. He couldn't play Season 6 because he was helping me this
It
morning.
launched today.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
Reasons. I'll
Have
probably
you
look
played
at it
at
tomorrow.
all,
Yeah.
Daft?
I
Inquisitor?
played- yes. I have a couple level 30 characters. I made a sister battle and then I made a tech priest. So, yeah, I did it. I got a bit in the game and I just stopped once it was a few days short of the season ending.
It does make sense to stop playing right before the season. I played right before the season because I wanted to learn more about the game. Sangs right now, who's in chat, actually power leveled a few of us the other night, so that was super awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, I saw that.
But yeah, I learned a lot over the last few days about Inquisitor, and now that I've made a video on Superfuse, now that I've played through the demo, I might stream it one more time with Vulcan on Friday, and then we will be 100% Martyr until Torchlight Season 2. And that's like
Yeah, I've noticed.
mid-January, so you're talking a full month of Inquisitor, so we should be able to get some solid end game, knowing that you could also power level each other.
I've noticed
Yes.
in Discord a lot of people are playing. So if you're
Yeah.
not in our Discord, anybody here, come on over there and if you want to play.
It's
I
not
linked
as
it.
easy to power level as it is in D3.
Yes, Sangs, you cannot play a non-seasonal character with a seasonal character. You cannot do that.
I didn't think that would
no.
make sense. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Guilty, what
H2,
character did you
Kelsey.
start with?
My run and gun, none.
My run and gun,
Gun,
none.
But so Aaron and I talked a little bit earlier, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Are you going to run Heat or are you going to run, Bolter?" And he hasn't decided. And traditionally, the Sisters of Battle run Bolter, but they also run Heat. They run Flamers.
I said I'll
Um,
run whatever the best weapon falls for me.
Yep. I kind of want to stick to tradition. I may stick to Bolter, but I know I won't.
What I'm probably going to do is ask like Exathius or somebody that's far along to find me a really nice shotgun, and then I'll just use shotgun. That's kind of my thought, actually.
What are you, an Imperial Guard?
I want to be a run and gun nun shotgunner.
I mean, it's fine. You do you.
Is that look?
Rich
Xavier
has
is
a
laughing.
question for you. Yeah.
How are you gonna play Superfuse for more than like a few more hours? Maybe that's all we'll play is a few hours.
Yeah, they'll run through the all the side missions, and you can get a few hours out of what they've given you with the side missions and the main mission.
Well, what would be cool, Rich, is that if Vulcan comes on stream with me, he's had early access to Superfuse and has made content as well. So not only can we show off multiplayer and how that functions, we could also talk through the game, talk through the studio, talk through what we think it needs or what it doesn't need or what we like. So it would be a different type of stream than, because today's stream was, I don't know if I have 5 acts, 1 act. So I was just running, going, and then we're like, oh, we've cleared it. That was pretty short. So now I know. So now we could clear every single room. We could go slower. We could trade items. Like it would be a different style. It would be a different style. Run and gun flamer is better. Burn the heretics.
You burn the heretics in that. Yes, in the Xenos. Yeah.
Rich says that would give you a few more minutes. Don't be such a naysayer.
No, you could play a different class you didn't play before.
There's only 2 classes.
No. Have you heard Aaron and Vulcan talk? It would give them a few more hours.
It could be long-winded.
They could definitely turn that into hours. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it'll still be fun. You get different perspectives on the game. You can kind of chit-chat back and forth about it.
Guilty. Game Awards.
Sir.
Any surprises from you?
There was a few surprises. Put it down there. Okay. So, Game of the Year being Elden Ring wasn't so much a surprise. Does that make sense? We know that I said it during the live. I'm like, this game
of the Year, Elden Ring. I could see that being deserving. That's fine.
The internet was Elden Ring for months.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this speedrunner. Look at this guy who just joins and asks you not to fight the big baddie, and he does it for you. That guy made magazines. He made PC Gamer.
Migs says the surprise was the troll at the end. Migs, if you missed the intro to this video, it's in the intro of this stream.
Chef's kiss. I found an interview with him post, and it's in the intro.
Aggro, I'll read that question in a second. I'm going to let Guilty finish whatever point he's trying to make.
Best game direction, Elden Ring. I said it should be that because of how vast it is and how seamless it is. Best narrative, God of War, we called that. Best art direction was Elden Ring. So I went Scorn because Scorn was unique, and that surprised me because Scorn was the most unique one there.
Scorn, that was Scorn's only category too that it was nominated for.
And it's super unique. Its art is super unique. It's not that it's not ever been done before. It's never been done to this extent before.
Yeah.
But God of War, doing the exact same thing they've done before, just making it look sharper. So that one surprised me. Best score and music, God of War. Didn't surprise me. Good music.
Yep.
Best audio design surprised me. I was between Gran Turismo and Elden Ring.
I picked Turismo, but I've always
Turismo,
it's had great sound.
Those cars sound good. They sound good.
I don't remember what I voted for.
I remember some of what you voted for. Christopher Judge winning best performance is what I voted for, but all of these other actors were very good, so any of them could have taken it. Games for Impact, no one cared. We didn't care. Best ongoing game, Final Fantasy 14, no surprise. Best indie, Stray, I voted for it, no surprise.
Stray was
debut
good.
indie, Stray, obviously. Best community support, Final Fantasy 14, that's an obvious one as well.
You didn't vote for Fortnite?
No, I voted for Final Fantasy 14 because
it got Unreal Engine 5. People say it's awesome.
Yeah, well, that's great. We know how I think about Unreal Engine 5. Best mobile, Marvel Snap, and there's the surprise.
Hey,
Really?
Perry's streaming Marvel Snap right now.
I know he is to people who like Marvel Snap.
There's people in Discord playing it too, so
Yeah,
I've seen it.
it is an addictive gameplay loop.
Yeah.
It is not
Yeah.
as deep as Magic the Gathering. It's not as deep as Legend of the Five Rings. It's not as deep as you remember the Star Wars card CCG back in the 90s?
Yes.
It's
Good
not as deep
gosh.
as that.
No.
Is it as deep as playing Pogs at recess?
You know what? Pog? No. I mean, it is. It's deeper than that, but like, I would consider it. It's not bad. I need more of it.
Okay, I'm
Needs
just
to
gonna
be
put it
more
out there
mechanics.
that I loved Pogs. I thought Pogs
Pogs
were
is
so cool until they started getting stolen and traded and gambled with as a form of gambling, and then they were banned from school. I remember going to a McDonald's that was holding a Pog tournament, and I came in third, and I got a gold hologram whale. It was a whale slammer.
I was in a
Hey.
tournament too when I was young. I
So
didn't even
much
know I would be.
fun. You guys don't know
throwback.
about Pogs. You don't
I
have
was in a Pog tournament,
poisons,
sir.
poisons and
missed-
8-balls and all that.
I had
I
8-balls and
missed-
poisons.
Come on, bro.
I missed
Thank you.
Pogs.
Don't
Thank you.
don't start.
I had the ones that smelled like strawberry, sir. Thank you.
You would have those ones.
Yeah, I missed
they
the
smell like
Pogs. I think I
strawberry.
heard of it, but I missed it completely.
Yeah, you were a bit older.
Yeah.
Lady Medusa Snap is easy. That was my first impression. I played it for a little bit longer to see if it was just an intro.
Oh,
It
Lady
was
Medusa
not.
knows about Pogs.
Yes, she does.
I must be old. We did pencil fighting.
Pencil fighting.
Yeah, you slap. Yeah, you did not. Yeah.
Did you
I
roll
think it needs more
Thaco, though?
mechanics. No one rolls Thaco anymore anyway because they went to a D20 system, sir.
What was more fun is you make the
that's the
paper.
relative
You make the
part.
paper football in class, and then you flip. You got to put up the goalpost. You got-
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I did that with my son, my older son. Make his
So-
footballs for him. Teach him how to
Did you guys best action? So the list was Bayonetta 3, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Neon White, Sifu, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which has been streamed on the channel.
I like Ninja Turtles. I
I
beat
loved
it.
it. It was a good game. It's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, obviously people like it. Neon White is a good game. Sifu we had no experience with, but Bayonetta 3 coming out the gate, what, a month or two before the awards and winning?
That's crazy.
I mean,
So-
supposedly
Dark
it's all
horses.
community driven,
Suspect.
so I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Lady Medusa doesn't
Well,
know
I
about
mean-
pencil fighting. Me either, actually.
I mean, pencil fighting, like
Yeah, Bayonetta 3 is available on the Switch. Besides me, who owns a Switch? In this group.
that's
My
In
Okay.
the group of us.
My 10-year-old.
See, yeah, we have
technically,
one,
I guess
but
you do.
Technically, I own one because my 10-year-old has one that
Yeah,
she
like
same
uses
thing.
it
I
sometimes.
actually just stored it though. It's over there in this little drawer.
my
because,
my daughter's
ignored.
Switch has a single game that I play, and it is I went into Classic Arcade and downloaded Mario 3. So that's the only game I play on Switch.
I do like the older games on Switch. I
You've
feel
never
bad.
played Mario 3 before, so don't act like you
Sir,
have.
Listen here, sir. Hidden levels. Go to the white thing. You duck down. You fall behind it, and you skip all the crap.
Aaron.
Yeah, but how do you
You're,
skip the crap? Hold on, here we go. How do you skip
Yep.
the crap?
You just go to the white thing. You duck down. There's 2 or 3. I think it's 2 levels that do that. You duck down. You go behind everything. You run to the end. You skip all the crap. There's also flutes.
You you go behind the curtain and finish it, which then gives you the
Yes.
chest, which then gives you the flute, which then takes you to the tunnels, which then you can skip. But you got to do it
You can
multiple
choose
times.
which one you want to go to. Yes, a flute.
All right, that's pretty good.
All right, it's
I
pretty
was gonna
accurate.
say, Aaron, you want to update your Twitch? It says Superfuse.
I left it on Superfuse. That's fine,
Yeah, we did talk about Super.
and it was in the intro, so it counts.
It wasn't.
Fair enough.
Best action adventure God of War, fair enough. Best role playing game. The options were Elden Ring. I think it's Live Alive or Live Alive the Square Enix offering, which is actually a remake. Pokemon Legends Arceus, Triangle Strategy, and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I actually voted for Triangle Strategy. Live Alive or Live Alive or whatever that is would be my second.
Can we talk about
Elden Ring's really good though.
Can we talk about Last Epoch now or no?
Is it on for best action adventure
Last
in the
Epoch?
Game Awards?
No.
No, we can't. Sorry.
All right.
Could be though. Best role playing game done. That was Elden Ring. Best fighting game. DNF Duel, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, The King of Fighters, Multiversus, and Sifu. I voted JoJo's because it's actually fun to watch people play that.
Yep.
Like, it looks appeasing. Multiversus wins though. That was a surprise. WB Games, good for them. Best family game, Mike Kirby won, as he should. All of these are available on Nintendo. Like the family section is the Nintendo section. So you have Kirby,
Basically.
you have Lego Star Wars, Mario Rabbids, Nintendo Switch Sports, and Splatoon 3. It's the Nintendo section.
Yes.
Kirby is better than Mario. That's what everyone said, and that's what I'm saying.
That's because you're not right. So.
Apparently my homeboy is the best, and Mario did not get the best.
Are you done with the things yet, or no?
No, we're still going.
Oh,
we're still going.
Gosh.
We're on
Best
the bit.
Sim strategy, Mario Rabbids got that. Beat out Dune.
Oh.
That was surprising.
Ton of dice rolling for a lot of these.
No
knowledge.
Mario Rabbids is actually a good game. Dune's a better game, but whatever. No one played Dune. Total War Warhammer 3 is good. 2 Point Campus and Victoria 3, no one's going to play, but they're still worth playing.
You know what I just realized? I could mute your mic if I want to.
You could.
I just realized that. Anytime I want you to stop talking, I could just make you stop talking. I've never done that before, but it just popped into my head. Sorry. Go ahead. I wouldn't do that to you, but continue on your reading. Go ahead.
All right. Best multiplayer got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. A little bit suspect here because I would think that is it, or like I voted for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Overwatch 2 would have been, but no, Splatoon 3.
You got to remember these awards are given out based upon votes from the community. How many people played like a Call of Duty or a Splatoon compared to Ninja Turtles?
Right. But how many people do you know that's even played Splatoon 3?
I don't know any.
Yeah, not one that owns it.
I own Splatoon 1 or Splatoon.
Yeah, but you and I have actually played TM and TSR. And we know other people that have played it too.
That's true.
Like I got people from work playing that game. Most anticipated, I actually, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Won. It beat out Starfield.
Did it?
Huh. Yes, it did.
But Starfield, they haven't shown that much of. Like, that's probably still...
Well, that could be, but they haven't... Yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
But if my Master Shield breaks and I have to go and recharge it or do it or whatever, no.
Is that all of them?
No, it's Resident Evil 4, Hogwarts Legacy, and Final Fantasy 16. Legend of Zelda beats out Final Fantasy 16, Resident Evil 4 redo, Starfield, and Hogwarts Legacy.
Hogwarts Legacy is trash. No thanks.
We don't know that.
No thanks.
It's not for me, but I know there's an entire community of persons that will buy that.
Right.
Bleh. No thanks.
One of those games.
We'll skip content creator of the year because we all know that it's
Air Action RPG. I should be on
that. 100%.
Sure. Best adaptation, Arcane League of Legends. That's television. I thought it would be Cyberpunk on Netflix. That anime, very good.
Hi Shin, what up?
Hey Shin. No esports, no esports, no esports.
Done?
No
You done?
esports coach. That's the end of it. All
Woo!
esports on the rest.
That's gonna do it, folks.
You asked.
I did ask.
You got.
Now hold on, Guilty. There was a question about the Game Awards, and that's why I was hoping you would finish. And now the question's in the ether, but don't worry, I remember it. The question was,
Good.
with the announcement of D4
Yes.
coming on 6/6, what do we think that means for Last Epoch? Daphne, go ahead.
So they settled on 6. So June.
6/6. Woo!
Okay.
Yeah, 6-6. A surprise.
I mean, right now, I don't think it's great for it, but it is kind of pushed out of where they might be releasing unless they were trying to do 1.0-ish time then. I think anything D4 related releasing now is just going to be deadly for all games. Even Path of Exile might not supersede Path of Exile, but it will be competition. I think 2023 is going to be a rough year for generally most ARPGs because, you know, the big dogs coming out, regardless of all the negative, they always seem to pull the numbers. They always seem to pull the money. They always seem to do that because they're just... I started playing Diablo back in the 90s, and you have this whole group of people who've been playing for 20 years, just the franchise. So it's a tough beast. I don't know how directly it'll affect them, but it's not good. I'll put it that way. But
My thoughts. Okay.
I think they might shoot themselves in the foot before that would hurt them.
Initially leaked D4 coming out in April. That would be so devastating to the 090 launch of Last Epoch, okay? Because it's too close. That would mean potentially even late March if you were purchasing early access in Diablo. Now, it dropping 3 months later, you know, a couple months later, now at least Ellie has a shot to build up a community, drive some game sales, and then even though everybody will still jump ship to D4, when your season's done, when the servers crash, when they introduce pay to win, at least you have a fallback potentially of Last Epoch, you know, because they were given an opportunity. So, you know, I think it not being April is a good thing. Now, that being said, when D4 does launch, it will infect the entire PC and potentially console gaming world. It'll affect MMOs. It'll affect all action RPGs. It'll affect all RPGs. Diablo is one of the few games that can cross also multiple generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my 16-year-old can't wait to play it. You know,
is that true?
He wants to play it. He's gonna get it he's gonna get Ultimate for his birthday. So
Is that true?
he wants
I have no doubt you're buying it for him. Does he want it?
he does want it.
Oh, okay.
But you got to remember too that me and him, like the first PC game that he ever played and was like really addicted to is we played D3 together. So he has the memories, like, you know, he's one of the people that when he sees Diablo, like, he actually understands what that means. That's why so many thumbnails and intros talk about like Diablo, like. So, you know, I feel like this game will suck the wind out of so many genres, and Last Epoch would obviously be included in that.
Right.
So, that's kind of my thing. And Aggro, I was literally going to say that as well, that if you follow the normal cadence for Path of Exile, literally its next league will be in March. And at this point, there is so much competition that it doesn't matter. Like, you know, Ellie, if they're waiting for like the perfect month, they'll never be able to drop it. Like, and Steve already said that they've talked to consultants, and 11th Hour Games was basically said, do not launch in January. It is the worst month of the year. They also said you can't launch in February because of, what was it? Chinese holiday or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, you can't launch in January, you can't launch in February. So the next logical month was the beginning of March. that's where they locked it in, and those are kind of the reasons why that happened. So,
Right.
you know, them saying, hey, we're not going to launch in March, we're going to launch in April because PoE's launching in March, that's another month to make people upset, and it's a month closer to D4. And they made the decision to go in March before D4 even announced its date. So,
sure, they're I mean, you have to keep these things in line, but you also have to follow your own course, or you're going to screw up your own game.
It was stated that Chinese Lunar New Year was at least part of the deciding factor.
Yeah. He said that last week, I think.
Take
in the
that
podcast.
as you will.
Yeah.
I mean, so they're trying to be logical, and they probably need March.
Huge market.
They probably need the time too to finish up everything, right? So,
true. And they also have Tencent, which is an Eastern, so they're going to have some pull from that specifically. I'm assuming to some degree.
Speaking of Tencent, we have previously stated that we thought it was upwards of 24.9% company ownership, and to roll it back,
not it.
It was about 8.
Yeah. So,
well, we don't know the exact percentage. They haven't told us, but we know that it's a lot less than 25%.
About.
We had an insider last week mention this, so that's at least
not saying it's 8. It's about.
Roughly.
So, Rich in chat, Rich GFX, who I respect very much, said, I think it's such a dumb thing to even worry about as a gaming company. Whether you agree with it or not, 11th Hour Games is currently under the assumption that for years and years and years, players have been telling us that we are not going to play or buy your game until multiplayer drops.
Right.
And you only get...
They promised it, though.
You only get one shot at a first impression, and they don't want to have a Wolcen Lords of Mayhem first impression. So they they're talking to consultants, they're talking amongst themselves, and they are obviously trying to make the best decision for the launch of, you know, authoritative servers. So obviously they're not making a decision thinking that thinking that it's going to hurt the game. Like they're doing what they think is right.
Right.
So Rich, I'm not going to read the comment, but essentially it's in league with my thoughts. They're very secretive to a fault. They're kind of acting like they're EA, with people actively trying to infiltrate and, you know, get some intel. And I don't think that's the case. And I would like to see more info from them. And every time we ask them on, they're like, oh yeah, it sounds like a thing. I don't know why not. And they're like, oh, we can't.
You just can't.
And that's got to stop.
Yeah,
they need to come on. We've had Steve on.
Okay.
And Steve is great.
This is important. Okay, I just want to say it one more time, just so everybody understands. Multiplayer 090 would not be able to drop in December unless they crunched. Okay, unless it was 14, 16-hour days, the full studio. You don't get to spend time with your family. You're going to be working throughout Christmas.
Oh, no.
And 11th Hour Games already had, you know, their studio planned, you know, go enjoy December. You've been busting your butt. So they made the decision to not crunch in December to get 090 out. That's a decision as a studio. That's their choice. Okay.
Yep.
Right.
They were told by consultants, you cannot drop in January. It's the worst game of the year. They were told you cannot drop
it's not a good time.
You cannot drop in February. It's the Chinese New Year, and March would be the next thing. So when you follow that cadence, you can at least understand, like, you know, they didn't just roll the dice. Like, I'm not saying I agree with the decision. I'm not saying you agree with the decision. I'm not saying it's the right decision. But if you follow that, that is how they drop. That's how they came up with March 9th. So
question for you, Aaron. When is your next vacation?
My next vacation is March.
Oh, not Christmas time.
No.
Same here.
Right? Hold on a second. Next question from Aggro, and I like this. Now we got EHG rolling. It's one of my favorite topics. He actually put next question. What do we think about the removal of trade? Daft, you take the. Me and Guilty been talking a lot. Daft, take
The
this one.
removal of trade. I don't know. For me personally, that's not the biggest deal because I don't personally care about that. I know though that the majority of people are kind of, that's part of the multiplayer vibe. It's part of that getting players to, work the system together, and everybody's kind of like, I'll be the guy who's doing all the long hours. You can pay me to do the long hours. You can get some type of thing going. I don't know. The timing of this is probably the worst part of it. The actual thing itself is probably not as, for me personally, is not as relevant as the timing of it. But the timing with all the negativity that's kind of built up over the last 6 months seems to make it worse than it probably actually is in actuality. Because if they have a plan and they want to do it, go ahead. But you're kind of like sprinkling everybody with bad news. None of it's horrible, but it's a little bit, and everybody's kind of getting a little burnt out. Like what Rich is talking about, and no one talks about it. So timing wise, horrible. Actually, I don't think it's a big deal. They'll figure out what they want to do, but
Right.
timing just doesn't work timing wise. Yeah, I don't know.
And I knew that that's how you felt because I know how you play your games. If you don't play multiplayer at all, and if you don't trade a single item, you could literally care less.
Right.
You'll go find Makoko seeds and be perfectly happy hunting those seeds. That's how a lot of people play. Yeah. If I had the option, not having trade is not gonna stop me from playing the game. Given the option of a limited trade, auction house, trade house, being able to trade with my friends, or no trade / D3 style of party trade, I would much rather have a form of limited trade. For sure. 100%. Not even.
We're literally saying anything's better than nothing.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of frigid toes and people just worried about making the dive because of prior game wolves and making so many drastic mistakes throughout their last few years that I think in 11th hour games right now, that is they do not want to do that. And I think it's almost to a fault right now because they're really timid. I can understand because it's their real life jobs and all these things. They don't want it to fail, but sometimes you just got to jump in the cold water. You just have to do it. And I think now that we are at the respite time where they're going to take their little break, sure, other games will take over and players will, like most players now, kind of grab back and forth. They're kind of they wax and wane between games these days because they come so often. So I think overall, right now, it just seems negative, but I think they could probably pull it off, but they got to do some really good stuff right when they decide to, jump back into the game.
So,
they really got to deliver.
I follow the Reddit. I follow their forum. I follow their community posts. I follow their Discord, and then obviously my own community's feedback through the videos and comments. I will tell you, I don't want to say 80% is too high. 50 to 60% of everything that comes out right now is negative. Compared to 2 to 5% that I used to get. It would be 20 comments and one would be like, dude, why do you still cover this game? It's horrible. That used to be the kind of cadence. And normally that person is looking at visuals and oh, it looks old, it looks dated, I've never played it. And I think that's terrible. That's the concern, is that 11th hour games always had the community's favor. They always had trust. They were always great communicators. They were always the 30-person studio that is putting out larger updates in a faster cadence than some of these AAA games. And you would see the like, holy crap, we got a brand new druid class. Holy crap, they introduced dungeons. Holy crap, they introduced move speed. Wow, the 2D art is now following the 3D renders. Wow, we got 35 new uniques. And it
right.
And so many people had so much confidence because of that. And now, as of late, all of that has like fallen off the ledge with the not hitting the multiplayer target, now not having trade, and it's just, and it's a buildup. People were uneasy with Tencent. They were uneasy with, so it's like, it's the stacking effect that makes the community so worried. And I don't know,
Right.
with
Hey,
all
Aaron.
this competition, how do you reel them back?
Rich and Frodo, and myself, because I actually have the same experience as Rich. Rich is saying since 99% of my friends basically bulk at LE now. My other gaming group, no one will play it because it doesn't have multiplayer. They play multiplayer together. That's the type of group they are.
Sure. That's the
Um,
groups that'll be most
yeah,
angry
that's the
right
thing.
now.
They won't touch it until it does. Now that all of this has come out, they're even less likely to touch it because it does not fit what they need for their gaming like sessions. So yeah, it felt bad. It was I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
It-
Hold on, let me jump
It's
in
a-
again. Let me just say,
yeah.
For me, when it comes to trade, yes, it was promised at Kickstarter, so obviously people expect it to be in. When they decided to axe the Bazaar, and I'm a broken record because I've said this stuff over and over again, it's in the Kickstarter, then the Bazaar, axe the Bazaar, don't worry, we're going to give you something better. And something better turned into nothing. Like, we're going to give you nothing, And I understand how that feels bad because to me, it feels bad. And I just used the example of playing Torchlight Infinite recently, and I know a lot of people hate that game, but the excitement of playing and finding something good, but something good not for your build, and then being able to trade it to somebody, and then that person gets a good item and they're happy, and then I get currency to buy the item I want, so I'm happy, and then I can progress, and then I can hunt for more items. Like, I really like that idea of some form of limited trade. And
Right.
and when you are competing with a Superfuse, a Martyr, a Diablo, a PoE, a Torchlight,
Or
a whatever freaking other action RPG that
Grim
all
Dawn.
has a
Yes.
form of trading and a form of player-driven economy, you're going to be carving out a small niche for yourself because so many people do want that. And the poll
their
that
trade actually mimics Grim Dawn.
and the
Does.
poll that I put up on YouTube was action RPG trade. Do you want full player driven economy? Do you want limited trade, auction house / trade house, or do you want no trade? And 86% of voters, or 860 players, voted for some form of trade.
Right.
And like Daft said, it's actually why I asked Daft the question, is that having no trade in the game tailors the game to a solo self-found player that does not care about trade in the first place. So if you have a full pay to win player driven economy, but you only play
Right.
solo self-found, it doesn't matter. So
Right.
why tailor the game to the crowd that doesn't care about it anyways? That's
So,
my thought.
Frodo Fraggins asked a question. What do they want? If they are like me, I prefer solo play and grouping for trades. That's great. That's very good.
Yeah.
The reason that they are even more not wanting to go to it is because of the negative feedback from the no trade respond that they don't know anything about the game, so they could hear anything and not fully understand it. But because it's negative, they're even pushed further away.
No, yeah, not knowing how the game works. That's a good point.
And that's exactly why they were like, "Oh, I heard something."
But I do think that this really is a test for 11th hour games.
It is.
In my time covering it, they have always reacted positively to player feedback. There's not a chance in this world somebody from that studio could say, hey, I feel like it's 50-50 as far as the community's reaction. Hey, I think it's a mixed bag. We're going to move forward with this. There are people that like no trade or only group trade. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying overwhelmingly the community would rather have a form of limited trade. So this is going to be for a 1.0 release, a true test to see if they change it. And honestly, I think they're going to change it. I really, in my heart, think they do. I think
they will too, because they're receptive. Is there an ARPG currently that does both adequately? Because they're trying for both.
They're trying, and that's a hard. I think, though, we have to also consider the most vocal players are typically probably the multiplayer group by default because they play in this thing. So you're part of probably what 11th Hour Games is thinking. It kind of goes along with what you're saying is there's a lot of people like me who aren't really saying anything right now. I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You do your game. It doesn't really affect me. So I think that silent part of the game is kind of what they're considering, because do they want to go the whole multiplayer route completely? It was built based off of a single player game, and I think you have probably multiple people within 11th Hour Games trying to push both directions, and this might be that coming to a halt, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what are we actually trying to do right now, as opposed to a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Let me tell you the worst thing they could do. The worst thing they could do is say nothing. So if they say,
absolutely.
Honestly, if I'm 11th Hour Games and they're like, hey, the community has spoken. I think we made a mistake. Let's pivot. Let's introduce some form of trade. Even though we don't know what that is yet, let's put out a newsletter. Let's put out a dev blog. Let's put out a communication and let them know, hey, your voices were heard. For the solo self-found players, you could still go that route and play solo self-found. But by 1.0, by cycle 1, by cycle 2, we will be introducing a form of trade. And just a blanket, they don't, even if they're in their heads, they're thinking like, how are we going to do this? Or I don't know. Like, I feel like just a communication would go so far, because it's win-win. The community feels heard, brings people back into a positive light talking about it. Now people are making videos again. Now maybe people are more excited for March 9th. Like, I think the worst thing they could do is just, hey, it's Christmas time. Studio's taking three weeks off. We're not going to say crap.
Right.
And then
no,
that's horrible. Christmas. I get a day off while being on call.
I don't know if it's 3 weeks. I just made that up. I don't know. I know that they're, the studio's taking a break. I
get Christmas day off unless stuff happens.
Red Eye's got a good point. If it's single player, why are they doing the multiplayer? I think that just goes back to my point. They kind of in a weird spot where they're got two parts of the 11th Hour Games trying to push, and I think the multiplayer is the loudest group, so they're trying to appease to them.
It's really interesting.
And they probably set it up 6 months ago or so.
During Mike's stream, people kept asking the same question over and over again. Why have you pushed multiplayer so hard, but you're not going to have trade? And Mike's response was, I don't understand, why you don't have to have trade in multiplayer. But a lot of people, and when I mean a lot, I mean, I would guess 90%. It's probably like 95. I bet you 95% of the 300,000 people that played PoE for this league played it single player and did not party. What does the multiplayer really give you? The ability to trade.
Right.
Yes.
Although Daft and I tried to break it,
We did.
and it was fun.
The majority of multiplayer play is the ability to trade and interact with items, not actually playing together. And I do think LE, like, I'm sure multiplayer is going to be really fun. You know, but it's this weird pigeonhole thing. It's like, okay, so now I can play with my friends, but I can't really trade with my friends if we're not playing together. So if I'm just playing single player, which I normally play, it's a single player game, you know? So
Yeah, it's a weird spot. Weird spot for 11th hour games right now. I think we all agree, and everybody here in chat, we're like, what are you guys doing? I don't know. I mean, who's calling the shots right now? Is it Judd? Is it a team effort? Yeah, who knows what's actually going on? We got a little snippet last week with Steve
Yeah,
on the podcast, and he was
Steve
great.
said what he could.
yeah,
He said what?
Um,
Yeah, he talked. He had a couple of things he's like, I can't say, but for the most part, he opened up where he could. So
Yeah. And when he did open up, it wasn't like hinged. It was unhinged. It was nice. I liked it.
yeah.
10 minutes, 20 minutes.
Steve is a good speaker. I like him.
Yeah.
He's a talker. He openly admits to be
Mm-hmm.
he's like guilty. You can't get him to be quiet, you know?
Well,
Right.
No,
That's okay.
great minds think alike.
Oh, that's what it is.
Of course.
Yeah. So, I mean, Aggro, this is your fault. You opened up this conversation.
That's all right. I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not disappointed with LE as a game. I'm disappointed in that one particular decision.
I will
I
say
still will support it. I like it. It's a fun game.
I feel I shouldn't say surprised. Actually, maybe I do. I feel surprised that the reaction of multiplayer being pushed from 2022 to March 9th, 2023 had less of a negative reaction than no trade. No trade is like been 20 times the negative reception to multiplayers getting pushed back. You find that interesting, Daft?
I mean, I was just thinking about it. It's like, this is probably the first time that 11th Hour Games has dealt with a backslash of negativity. In the almost 4 years I've followed this game, way back from the Kickstarter, it's always been super positive. Like you mentioned a few moments ago when we were talking about, it's always been positive. They've always been with the community and working with them and delivering and communicating. And right now that's changed, but we touched on it last week with Steve. He's like, the team's grown. There's more people that we have to talk to, and there's more stops. You know, they've got to fix it. They've got to okay it. So there's more things happening, and I think we're dealing with growing pains for the company, just their development, just their team developing and learning to work together. And on top of that, the game technically, that aspect. And I think that's why we're getting this weird vibe right now, because they've introduced so many people. We know they have over 100 employees now.
110.
Yeah, that was a learn.
Yeah. We didn't know we knew they were growing, but that's a team. So
That's a very, very large studio.
Large. Yeah.
That's not that far off from some Bethesda projects.
Right. I think that though is a big part of it. They have like the technical side and then the business, just getting their team to work together and communicate and get everybody who needs to be heard and this. And I think that's a big part of this whole slowdown. They grew quickly over the last year, team-wise, and communication breakdown is not only a Led Zeppelin song, it is a 11th Hour Games issue.
You know what's pretty interesting, just to I don't not say tie a bow on everything, but correlate. Playing Superfuse today, this is like pre-alpha. It's like, hey, we're gonna throw a demo out, try it.
Yeah.
Nothing works, but tell us what you think.
Fun.
Literally, they don't even care. Like, hey, I barely stream it. It's all screwed up. You know what I mean?
It was.
But
Aggro, it was.
hey, but multiplayer's live. You want to play with friends, request a key. Make sure you fill out the survey. We really want the feedback. And that's why when I made my video, I was like, hey, it's not optimized. The game's brand new. It's still in alpha phase. But I really appreciate that. because now I know the skill system, I know the combat, I know how the fuses work, I know trades, I know like how to set up it's like that's pretty cool. And that's like, wait a second, I've been waiting to play with friends for 3.5 years on Last Epoch.
It's been something we've talked about for years. You're right.
Aaron, their tech demo is multiplayer.
I mean,
looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
It may have some broken things.
Hey, by the way, Geek in chat downloaded OBS because he was, it works totally fine. Streaming on Discord, it works totally fine. He goes, yeah, I downloaded OBS. The game immediately tanked. So I don't know why booting OBS while you're playing Superfuse, I can't even explain it. It's like your computer stops working. It's so weird.
Strange.
I know that
it's gotta be.
It puts pressure on your computer to open up multiple programs, like recording processes and things like that. But I mean, it's a demo. It's early on, so I'm gonna say.
So is it the Epic launcher?
Ooh, it is Epic, isn't it?
Because it is.
Yeah.
It goes through Steam, then opens up the Epic launcher, then opens up the game.
But that runs totally fine. It's only when you boot OBS.
Right, but is Epic doing something when you stream that you don't know about?
I mean, that's hard to believe because
they've been caught doing stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see how that game goes. It's early in the development. Much different
than
ever. Last Epoch, which is not early in develop anymore, and we're later in its growth, and they're kind of going through the boss levels of making their game right now. They're going through that phase of, these are the first bosses, and we don't have our gear. We're not prepared for this, and growing pains are happening. It just seems
Red Eyes double launcher to game. I was surprised when I got a key.
Horrible.
It made no sense. They're like, just go in through Steam. By the way, you need the Epic launcher. It's like
that was pretty weird. I'm like, wait, this is an Epic game? I just got it on Steam.
Yep.
That happens a lot where they'll release things on Epic, and then Darkest Dungeon, I think, was like that as well. You couldn't pick it up on Steam until the year later. Epic tries to pick up the name for a year, own it, and then Steam gets it. So
I like Darkest Dungeon too. I wanted to stream that on Halloween, and they didn't let me. Just saying.
I had nothing to do with that.
I wanted him to play a game where he would get scared, but he didn't want to.
That's true. He did.
I was too scared.
You got scarred.
I was too scared.
Instead, I went into clown makeup.
Happening, Flenser. How you doing, bud?
Hey, I will say, reading Rich in chat, unfiltered, real feedback from somebody that loves the game. You could feel it. It's like when Rotten Gamer was talking about Undecember and being stuck, not being able to kill the Act 8 boss. You could feel it. Rich right now, 3,500 hours into LE. You could feel the disappointment.
And I feel it every day in Discord a little bit. Not overly, but just a little.
It's there, man. People are upset. We all planned because we were told that something was coming that was unique in ARPGs. And we got something that was completely run-of-the-mill in ARPG.
Yeah. But, time will tell with Last Epoch. We're at that weird stage where I think the next thing they're trying to show us will be like a make or break for them a little bit.
So
people are there.
I would urge them to rethink their decision and just put in the extra time.
I could promise you,
but yeah,
they're doing a lot of thinking and meetings. And Aggro saying, what do you think of a gold-based auction house in LE? I would hate that. I would personally hate.
Seems like a bureaucratic decision.
You do have to have. Okay, so trade house is my favorite. If I had to pick between a trade house and an auction house, and just for anybody that's played recently, it'd be like an Undecember auction house or a Torchlight trade house, because both games recently came out. Both have trade, but they both have different forms of houses. You know, if you look at Diablo 2, what was the currency? SOJs. SOJs was the currency of Diablo 2. Hey, what do you want for that item? It's going to cost you 6 SOJs. Stone Jordan, the rings, right?
The Jordan.
Then you look at PoE. What is the currency? Chaos, right? How many chaos for that? Or mirrors, you know, but chaos is the actual currency. You go over to Torchlight. What is the currency? It's Flame Elementium. So you do have to have some kind of rarer droppable currency that happens frequently enough where you can make trades, but not too frequent where you still get excited when it drops. So, you know, and maybe that's Glyphs of Despair. You know, like Glyphs of Despair drop, you know, regularly, and that's your trade currency, you know, or something like that. But gold, no, because if it's just gold, anybody can farm gold. Anybody could literally turn on a blinder and pick up gold. Like it's just too easy, because now you can fully deck out your gear, not by hunting bosses, not by pushing chaos, by running a level 60 monolith over and over and over and over again and speed running it until you get endgame gear. So I would not like it to be
Can't
gold.
do the speed run, but yeah, I could see myself grinding. It just depends on the type of grind and time. In this case, it's random, so just depends on the amount that you have to put in for each grind session. If it's, you know, under 5 minutes and you're just doing it, like for me with these types of grinding things, there's got to be like this give and pull. I can do the grind for a while, but it's not like my big thing. And Aaron will know, I don't really push endgame a lot because I just get bored of the character itself, and I decide, who cares if I never get that? I'll just play a rogue and start over from scratch and, you know, do the whole let's see what happens. Like I get that like gold fever that if you're like a gold miner, you're like, this time we're gonna get the right build and this is gonna be perfect and everything's gonna be golden. That usually happens to me around level 60 to 80 on last Epoch, like that range, like you know,
where
boredom
hits
kicks
slow
in.
down.
Yeah,
where you're not going up as quickly as you were.
Yeah, all it takes for me is literally wake up one day and go, I'm feeling magey today. I'm gonna make a mage, and then I start over level 0 every time. I don't like to pick up old characters and like rehash them. I hate that.
Yeah.
So I'll start over, start with a new loot filter, and then go through the grinding up at least through the campaign, and then redo the loot filter. And that for me becomes the meta of the game. I enjoy that part of it, like trying to make builds that work, that are different than what I've done before, or based off things I see other people do and kind of like tweak them a little bit. That's where I find the fun in like ARPGs, not so much the hunt.
Yeah.
The hunt later on for me it's not as appetizing. No.
So there's that period, the hunt, right before you, what I call true endgame, where you can actually play endgame and not worry about like, oh, if only I had this piece of gear. No, when you are kitted out to what you want, that's when I think endgame really starts. Like that, everything else is like pre-endgame or a tutorial.
Sure.
Yeah.
Someone in chat said, could you just make gold more scarce? No, because you need gold as a intro currency to new players to be able to buy stuff from vendors, to be able to gamble on certain items, to be able to do all the basic functions. You do need to have like a centralized currency for just playing the game. And they have a dungeon that gives you a gold sink. So it's kind of like something to shoot for.
Sure.
So game's not released yet. Sky's the limits in terms of them being able to make something. Some of us will volunteer. But what if they introduced a new currency? Not like a billion like PoE, but like 1 or 2 that are currencies that you don't pay real money for, but are super rare.
In-game
that
currencies?
maybe you could trade up for.
But the idea is the currency has to do something. That's why it's valuable.
Right.
So, for example, Geek in chat said,
Chaos
well,
orbs.
Geek said if they introduced an item like that, then it would just be like PoE. I don't agree with that, because again, if you have played PoE and then you go and play Torchlight Infinite, those two games don't feel the same, but they have a central currency in Flame Elementium, and PoE has a central currency in Chaos. Both are used as a central crafting mechanic,
depending on league mechanic. Yes.
So, for example, it could be like, this is a currency that you have to pay in the Temporal Sanctum to make a legendary item. Okay, so it's like, in order to make that legendary item, you got to beat the dungeon and you got to put in this to activate the process. Okay,
it's kind of there with the keys.
But you hear what I'm saying? Like, that's the idea. So then you're pushing in game. You need to make legendaries, so you need this currency, right? And it has a function, so people want it, and it is rare to find. So something like that.
Add it in.
Exactly, like that.
You could call it.
I could see that. Yeah.
Aaron icons.
Aaron icons. Yes.
He just coined the term.
It's it's AI. It's not too original these days.
They could add that in. So they have to understand that they're not going to reinvent the wheel. Yes, Aeronite. Starting at $10 per. I really think that they could save it by introducing something like that and working a little bit longer on what they initially promised. I believe they can do it. I think it's within their ability, but I also think they're trying to hit a window. I really think they are going to give us something that we all like.
But that is where
I'm just disappointed in the last little bit of information they gave us.
That is where the communication comes. What they should have said before they posted, the trade post or the gifting post should have said, I should have wrote it. Hey community, we told you that in 090, our highly anticipated multiplayer patch, trade would not be included. And we heard your voices on multiple social media. We heard you during our streams. And we realized that this was not acceptable from our community. So what we have done is we've put our heads together. We've worked some numbers. We've done some testing. And there is going to be a form of item gifting we are going to be launching inside of 090. This means that when March 9th comes, as long as you're playing with friends in the same zone, any items that drop can be gifted from player to player. But we want you to know that this is not the finished product. Come 1.0 or in the future, we will be launching a newer, more different form of trade. You will always be able to gift items in the same party, but we know that this is not the final product. And that in the future, you are going to be getting a form of player-driven economy or a form of trade house or a form of whatever, so that people are happy, that they listen to the community, and
so basically,
and everyone would have been like,
oh, okay.
So how long did that take the three of us to come up with?
Not too long. I mean, I'll admit, we have way less pressure than any of these folks will, and we can freely speak about it. No one's
absolutely
gonna care about what we're saying. But
Frodo, no, he is not.
It's literally what you're saying, though. It's that ability to promise things and not. It's the fear of over-promising. I think that they're kind of there for, and I'm fine with not over-promising because no one wants to be let down.
I do have a thought.
But what's that?
So they've been asking people, industry professionals, and I know industry professionals, so they're just like regular people.
They are.
Three of us. They're just like the people listening. And have you ever had a conversation with someone who's like, yeah, I know this?
Of course.
about the same thing.
But they might
You're just
not.
paying them for that.
I will say that 11th Hour Games has said from the very beginning, from the time that I have ever followed them, that they will never introduce a system that requires a third party. So they never want a third party trading app. They never want a third party anything, loot filter, anything like that. And I do think that that leads to the fear of, well, if we have a trade house, there's going to be people selling the currency and there's going to be third party things that drop up and people are going to monetize our game, you know, for their own, you know, there's like, I do think they're like, we don't want to deal with all that crap. So let's just give this version. Like, I wonder if that has to do with the decision making.
How bad does it hurt Path of Exile though that they have the third party? It hasn't hurt them. It's created its own little megaverse of issues within that third, but they can always say, well, that's you dealing with that, so that's, you know, if you want to go ahead and deal with that, go ahead. I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with them saying that, but the thing is, when you get third party, you know, people, basically in my world, that would be like the modders, the people who want the game to be better because they play it a lot, so they're going to do these things that the devs aren't doing. They kind of pull in, so that's kind of where it feels like for me. So I'm okay with it, but you know, you lose a bit of the control over the economy. But that said, they don't have an economy yet. It doesn't exist, so they shouldn't be worrying about something that doesn't exist. But you know,
and traders would love it, and solo self-found won't care, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But
yeah, exactly.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
PoE still has people who do things solo self-found.
Yes. I
There you go.
typically play it solo self-found.
Dunk that battleship.
Yeah.
Now, to counteract my own point, Mike was asked about races, and he said that Mike said that 11th Hour Games will promote and support community-driven races, but currently they don't have plans to do their own.
Well, Steve said that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's fine. And that's actually kind of smart because it is more organic and meaningful when you find a group that's doing it on their own. When that group finds out they're being backed by the thing they're doing on their own, they feel better.
Of course.
Yeah. 100%.
Vision running his weekend tournaments and 11th Hour Games posting it on their official Twitter or their website. Like, that's like, talk about validation for doing a great job. Like, and they don't have to pay for anything. Like 11th Hour Games doesn't, like, great.
Yeah, they're like, yes.
Community's happy. He's happy doing it because we're promoting him and it works great. You know, like, I totally agree.
I mean, I 100% still believe that they can pull off what they promised. It's going to take a bit longer because they've chosen to expand in ways that they probably didn't foresee.
Right.
Like, yeah, no one expects to, like, one day have 100 people working in a team with them.
That's
So
true.
that's
I mean,
that's
they
a thing.
started
And-
off as a little Twitch, you know, chat group, basically.
Yeah. That
Not
onto
Twitch,
itself
but Reddit. Excuse me. Twitch.
is a new
Yeah.
profession that they have to learn as they go.
Someone
How do I
brought up an
manage
idea.
this?
Someone brought up an idea that I've already said before. And obviously this would be better than nothing, but I still don't, you know, the idea is like whatever the item is, a coin, a trinket, a scroll, a something. I give that to Daft and Daft gives me his, and now we can trade freely even if we're not in the same party. The idea is that, like, you're playing with a family member, you're playing with the best friend, you're playing with whoever, you know, and that coin, that trinket, that whatever can only be like transferred to somebody every month or something like that. Like an idea of like, we're going to open up trade so you could trade with your close community, with your friends, with your family, but we're not going to have, you know, a full player driven economy. We're not going to have a trade house. We're not going to have that. So, I mean, I could easily see them, you know, coming up with some kind of thing like that.
Denali's got a thing.
Yeah, Denali
what about
with
guild
Guild
trade?
trade.
There's no guilds.
Why not?
These are
There's
things
no
that you could just literally add So we could have our Discord group and all 30 or 40 of us decide to play together and support their game. We can chat together, maybe trade together, and, you know, build a community. And then that community has their friends. And, you know, it's that old shampoo commercial. Everybody keeps sharing the shampoo with their friends, and all of a sudden everybody's using the same shampoo. They need to have, that's where the trade comes in, I think, these days, is passing the word on to other players.
So,
You know, to grow the family, if you will, of last Epoch players.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
Question. So maybe not a guild, okay? But what if they had small teams, maximum 5, whatever, 6, whatever,
Sure. Okay.
4. Let's call it 4.
Kind of like what vampire game did.
Yeah.
V
Vampire
Rising?
Survivors.
Vampires
Yeah,
V Rising.
V
Yeah.
Rising.
Yeah.
Yeah. Vampire Survivors. They came out too close together.
Yes.
They could get away with squad-based economy, like squad-based sharing, promote, make squad emblems. Battlefield 4 had squad emblems. How many years ago was that?
It's been a minute.
Year-
Not only
Wait a
did it
minute.
have squad emblems, but you could match up on your phone or mobile device. Like, the tech's been there for a while.
You know what?
Yeah.
Denali is honestly onto something. That would be an easy communication. We've heard the community's feedback. We have already told you that in the future, it is important for us to introduce some form of guild system so that you can grow together as a community. When this launches in the future, we are going to actively allow guild trade. And
That'd be great.
And you won't be able to switch guild. And they could limit it where you can only switch guilds once a month. So that stops people
$25.
from guild jumping, right? And that would be a perfect solution. Perfect.
You have to say it like this.
Perfect.
Perfect.
jumping. Cost $25, then they'll give it to you because they want $25.
Perfect. Perfect. Love.
Big kitty cat Aaron over there. Perfect.
Oh, that is such a
Cheshire
good
over
idea.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that idea. Oh, I'm gonna remember that one.
Good idea. You should. You should. We're running the Q&A for them right now.
Red Eye doesn't agree.
He's not in your camp.
So Red Eye, you have to understand, in my head, there's what I want, and then I know what's realistic. So I try to say things that I am happy with, knowing what's possible and what they are willing to do. I know they want to put guilds in, and I know they don't want a player-based economy, and I know they don't want third-party websites, and I know we will likely never have a trade house or auction house. So if it's between me giving Daft a trade token and he gives me his and we could trade with each other, or Action RPG can have an Action RPG guild and anybody in that guild can openly trade, that sounds like a reasonable, community's happy, 11th hour games kind of get what they want.
I don't foresee that taking that much time to at least test.
Guilds are too social to be regulated for the sake of an economy.
But they don't want an economy. So that's you answered your own question. They
is who are they making the game for, us or them?
Now they did say that anything solo, right, should be the same as if you're in a group. So that would really push people to group and join a guild, almost like you're forced to join a guild. So that from that aspect,
it's not about force though. I mean, for me, the whole guild thing, it would typically in our case be based off the Discord. So it's people who play together and just want to like play, in a group together, and that's how I see the guilds for me personally. I've played in guilds forever in games like WoW and all your MMOs, Dark Age of Camelot. So guilds are like a thing, and they're a social gathering. And then within the guild, you're going to have different groups of players who you always had your raider groups, you had your PvP groups, you had your just let's just go lol and play together groups. So I think that's for me what the guild does. It just kind of brings players together that on a specific game. But I don't get into that whole like guild hierarchy thing where like
my situation is very different. I want to be able to stream LE, and I craft that awesome item, and it's like someone in chat's like, wow, jealous. And I'm like, here you go. Like,
yeah.
And I know that's, I'm obviously a different situation. That's honestly what I want to do. I want like, hey, thanks for the gifted sub. Pick an item out of my stash. Like I want to be able to, I've got all this great gear all the time. I only need a fraction of it. And I would love to be able to give it away. I'm not even.
That's allowing access to your stash. That's not trade.
I don't know. Hey, I made something good. I threw it up in the
charity.
I threw it up in the
your teacher
community guild. First one to grab it gets it. I don't know. Like
that's one way of doing better than the current system.
Now, Daft. This is what other people say. Now, I just want to create one more point, okay? Because we're already over time, and then we'll wrap this up.
Overtime.
Part of a loot-based game is the positive, almost endorphin rush you get when you find a great item, right?
Right.
Like
100%.
Playing Torchlight, I get a Flame Elementium stack of 10 to drop. It's like, boom, yes, it's that awesome feeling. Like that's what makes it so addictive. And me playing on my Necromancer in cycle 1, and I'm pushing end game, and a freaking what's a Bastion of Honor falls with legendary potential 3 on it.
Right.
And instead of me literally sprinting down the hall screaming and my family going like, holy crap, what's wrong with you? It is going to have the opposite effect. I'm going to be like, I'm so sad. I just found probably a 1 in a million.
Yeah, that I can't.
And it's going to sit in my it's going to sit in my stash. I can't do anything with it. The only thing I could do now is make a sentinel if I want it. So like I got to play more to use this item. You know what I mean? So then instead of an excitement and endorphin rush, it's almost like a letdown. Like having a system that's so restrictive, it creates the opposite loot hunt effect. Do you hear where I'm going with that? Am I way off?
I do. No. I find items, and since I play a lot of solo self-found or stick to things right now, there's plenty of items like, oh, this would be fantastic if I was playing any other character that might want to use this. And those are the types of items that I would want to share with, my compatriots in the game. Like, I have no use for this. I'm not planning on playing this. Hey, Joey, you play this class. Do you want this? Do you have this? So that is probably the one part of the trade that I think is cool, is when you can like basically gift people or put the option up for your homies. Like, hey, I know you guys could use this. Here you go. That for me is kind of where trading lives for the most part, because I don't like the impersonal trade thing. I like trading with like the 3 of you or anybody in Discord and stuff like that.
Right.
Just because I know them, I have some connections, so here you go. And it's not going to be a currency baits thing where I'm trying to like it's going to be like, here, give me this for this, and there you go. It just feels like that style of game. Yeah.
Like we could just drop something on the ground willy-nilly. They don't have to be in the same group with us when we earn it. They're a new player and we have something that's low level but still cool, and we want to give it to them.
Man, I was watching the developers of Superfuse play 4-player co-op multiplayer. And the one guy picks up 4 items and I don't need this, runs over, throws the 4 items on the ground and says, hey, whoever wants it, take it. And they were like, and the people are like, oh, I can use it. All right, she's going to take it. And I was like, man, like,
you mean the community
and I was like,
out for themselves?
When was the last time? And I was like, Diablo 2. I was like, when was the last time I found an item and I could just drop it on the ground for Guilty to get? Like that's not how it is anymore. And I was like, that.
Or Guilty found something, he had dropped it on the ground for Aaron.
And I get it, right? Because if you're playing with random people, it's like, oh, the first one to gets it gets it. So it's like a race to who could click first, you know? So obviously it has its negative aspects to it. But it was such a weirdly refreshing feeling seeing the guy like, oh, I already have this fuse. I'm going to throw it on the ground. Who doesn't have it? Oh, I don't have it yet. Or someone's like, hey, I'm struggling to keep my energy up. And he literally unequips his small energy boost, throws it on the ground so the guy could pick it up so that he has more energy now. I was like,
Fun game.
That is group play. Like that is co-op and
100%.
fun.
That's even if you don't win, that's awesome. So
I like that.
For a couple minutes, it's gonna be you and I. That was awesome though. Yeah, that type of gameplay could be had with the LE. That most certainly could be had with LE. I think eventually we'll get there.
I like the idea of finding that Bastion of Honor shield with 3 legendary potential, putting that for sale because it's a 1 in a million. The person that gets it is literally now running down the hall because they're so excited that they have it. And then I get the currency to go get that awesome end game hybrid health, movement speed, exalted 7 boots to put on my necromancer, right? And everyone is happy. Like, you know, that's what I see. And Rich brings up a good point. Seasonal play. Yeah, I think Rich wrote it. Rich, if he wasn't you that write it, I'm sorry. I thought Rich wrote that, yeah, seasons doesn't really cater to no trade. The whole point of seasons is that you reset
the leaderboard now.
You reset the economy, right? And things that didn't work before, you change, you fine tune, and you know, not having a currency, not having, you know, what you're building up. Like, yeah, that doesn't, if they do seasons in the normal way, that doesn't really cater to it.
So it doesn't. And like if the only thing is resetting the leaderboard, which is essentially what they left us with, I don't know about that, but I think they'll fix that. Do you guys remember Float Guy?
Flute guy?
Flute Guy.
Oh yeah, from the intro video. Yeah.
Yes.
Well. So he 3 or 4 types of flutes he was playing in the Game of the Year song. It says Game of the Year 22. That's the name of the piece they were playing. He's awesome, and I just thought we should all like take a moment to like say how awesome he is. Just the highlight of my night. Yeah.
This is how I'm gonna end this podcast because we're 11 minutes over. Okay.
11 minutes.
I am a fanboy. I can openly admit to being a fanboy. I can openly admit to being biased.
Sure.
And 090 needs to be awesome. 1.0, they need to pivot on trade. And until they don't,
they're going to release the classes.
I'm going to trust them on doing the right thing.
Yes.
And my birthday's on March 19th. And every March 19th, I go to Viva Las Vegas because my birthday falls on St. Patrick's Day, spring break, and March Madness.
Yep.
So for over a decade, I spend my birthday in Las Vegas with my friends because it's an awesome day. So 10 days prior to my birthday vacation, I'm going to take a week off prior. And I'm going to spend March 9th playing Last Epoch, and then I'm going to fly to Vegas. So I'm still going to be taking time off to play. And I'm still hoping for the best. I am cautiously optimistic. That's fair, right?
Same here. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't put much time into it. I played a bunch of CT early on when I got into CT. Not recently. Just not feeling it, but, you know.
And by the way, Lady Medusa and me are going to race to see who gets my new unique armor first. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to set up a reward. You give yourself a screenshot of yourself with 3 golems wearing my armor, first person to do that will get something. See, now I'm over promising and under delivering. I don't know what it is, but we're gonna race.
I will go so far as to say the first person to actually post an image.
Oh, I'll race
if it
for
is before he gets it.
Right.
I'm gonna need to see a non-edit, because there's some clever editing
Send
out
me
there,
the image. It will be used well.
Exactly.
But it would be all irony if I got it first, but we'll see.
If you get it first, send me the image. It will still be
I
used
will.
well.
I might be 6 in the
Probably
morning.
more so.
It might be a 6 in the morning click for you, so that's 9 for you. So you'd be fine.
Well, that's the nature of
Yeah.
RNG.
Yeah, but you never know. I mean, that is a RNG. It's just whoever happens to pick the pick when it picks.
Hey, I said last point, and I obviously lied because I have so many points.
So,
Earlier in the day when I was streaming Superfuse and struggling, and I had to lower all the settings to get it to run correctly, I clicked on some other people that were streaming, and their stream was super laggy and all jacked up. And then when I checked with Vulcan, and he said, yeah, my 4080 can barely run the game. I just checked. Not a single person in the world is streaming Superfuse other than us, because that's what the stream is labeled as. I'm sorry, there's one person with 3 viewers, so I don't know if it's actually running correctly. So I'm wondering if it's a problem for everyone.
or do
I don't know.
streamers use NVIDIA cards?
Do they? Who knows?
I mean, I guess that's possible. All right, everybody. That is going to do it. Thank you all for coming out. This
Thanks,
Week in Action podcast 44 is in the books. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Patreon and film our bonus hour. If you want to join the Patreon, I would really much appreciate it. It's the best way to support the channel moving forward. All the likes, shares, comments, all that stuff is ultra important, and we really do need it all. But if you want to take it one step further, check out the link in the chat right now. That's where we're moving to. All of you have a fantastic night. I will be back on Friday. And maybe on Friday, I'll be streaming Superfuse with Vulcan. So time will tell. Daphne, you get the final thought. Give me the thumbs up when you're done.
All right, guys. It was fantastic. Great chatting with you in chat. And we'll see you next week or in Discord. Take care. We're done.
You didn't...